Hey guys, it's been a minute since we've been on the air. We had to take some time off. Me personally, Joey knows this, and I don't mind sharing it. Had some family stuff come up. My pops was in and out of cancer treatment, so radiation, chemo for about 7 weeks, and then I also had a death in the family right after I got back from helping take care of my pops. Uh, so obviously, not the best frame of mind for a lot of different things. um, and Joey, you know this. I was also in the middle of launching a program, and I ended up having to shift the program essentially last minute because not just the frame of mind, but also just like the focus point, the focal point. And I talked about that in a different area. Um, it was just like a different perspective when it happened. All right. And I know,
Yeah.
Joey, you had a bunch of stuff also pop up too. You know,
Well,
oh,
I mean, talk about change is constant, man. Like seriously, it's just, it's rolling with the punches that are given to you, and it's do with those things to kind of hopefully get you to where you're coming out ahead, right? I mean, it's all about your frame of mind and how you take those things and what you do going forward. So
oh yeah.
glad to be on here, man. I'm here for you, man. And of course, you know that if there's anything that you need, just let me know. But I'm glad to be back on here with you.
Oh yeah. I'm glad to be back. And before we jump any further, if you guys haven't realized, welcome to the Obvious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Omar. We got Joey on the other line.
Yes, sir. Sir, we're here to talk about the things that sometimes are not so obvious.
Yeah. And actually, that's part of today's topic point. I'll let Joey take lead on this because I think Joey's got a little fire in his belly on this topic.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to talk about, a lot of people that are in, you can call it outside sales, relationship sales, sometimes like those bigger ticket item sales that take a little bit longer to curate and process, manage. There's a
You mean
tool that
somebody just doesn't want to drop $50,000 on day one of meeting them?
I mean, sometimes people come in asking for it, right? But a lot of times that's not the case. But there's a little tool that we have. It's called a CRM, right? A lot of the bigger organizations, even some smaller organizations, have this tool in place to help you keep track of your customers. And Omar, you and I both know. I mean, we've been on the kind of beginning stages of using a CRM and seeing it develop. Like, talk to me a little bit about how you feel about CRMs.
And to give you feedback on that portion, guys, it wasn't like it was a small little, startup, a multi-million dollar company trying to begin to use a CRM. Imagine using a CRM with a multi-billion dollar company and them trying to figure it out and you pretty much being the guinea pigs. That's what you feel like. And here's the thing, like I've been part of different organizations in the past where I have used CRMs. And if you're wondering what a CRM is, it's a customer relationship management tool, right? It's a way to get leads and follow up on leads and know where in the pipeline leads are, right? And it's not just something that's used on the sales front. For instance, if you do recruiting, you have to have a CRM to know exactly where in the pipeline you have different candidates for companies. And you see that in a lot of different aspects, not just in sales. But being on like the guinea pig side of it and trying to have something be built from the ground up is both a good thing and a bad thing. Bad in the sense that it's not as robust as a lot of other things that are on the market. Good in that you get a little bit more input in the direction that it's going. Right, Joey?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, I feel like you kind of hit, like you put in a different perspective instead of it just being a like relationship management tool, right? It's almost like just a data management tool, right? For the company, for yourself to manage, going through a sale or whatever kind of process it is, right? And I feel like it gives a little bit more organization to what you're trying to accomplish, right? So on the outside looking in, it's like, man, that's what I want. That's what I need. That's what I must have to be successful.
That shiny new toy.
Right, right, exactly, right. That's the thing that's going to push me over the edge. But I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, you know, I'm not using a quote unquote CRM, but I do have a framework of how I take care of certain situations and follow them through. So essentially, my process is a CRM. But
Okay.
like, I hear some people talk about it like this CRM is, if you don't follow the actions that are in those CRMs, you're not going to be successful. And I feel like the information is a little muddled when it comes to that.
Well, put it this way, right? Great salespeople, you have a natural CRM style that you use. You're going to have something where you're going to track the people and the processes to ensure you know who to follow up with, when to follow up with, and what the conversation points are. From a company perspective, if my top salesperson leaves and they have their tools and they didn't put that in, company pipeline, I don't have that customer.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
as salespeople, I will tell you this: putting your customer, your clientele information in a database is very scary, right? Because a lot of companies will say, well, now that you've entered this is my customer, blah, 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 this and that, right? But at the end of the day, like if this is a relationship I built over years and I've been bringing that client with me along the different organizations I've been with, you might have the information, but that's not your customer, guys.
It's
And
true.
yeah,
Um, you definitely, so they may have that customer, but they don't have the relationship. They don't have
exactly.
the connection, right? That CRM is just like I said earlier, it's just a data management tool,
Yeah.
right? And you are the person that establishes that connection to that customer, right? And there needs to be attention to both sides, because the the company can't just focus on satisfying the metrics on the CRM. You also have to satisfy how that person is connecting with that customer, because it's almost, I'd say, more important than that CRM. CRM is important, right? Because there's some non-negotiables of how you maintain a relationship, how you grow a relationship. But also on the flip side of that, there needs to be some nurturing of that connection.
Oh yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm on both sides, right? Uh, a CRM is really good at being able to do a lot of follow-ups on in my opinion, when it comes to non-sales tasks, right? So think of follow-up during off-season, stuff like that, to touch base with certain clients, just to keep yourself front of mind. Think of old school stuff. And I'm sure you guys have read or heard about this stuff where, for instance, salespeople are sending out actual physical, happy birthday or anniversary cards and postcards to their past clients, right? To keep themselves front of mind. And that's essentially what a CRM tool does, just at a very minuscule cost per transaction compared to other forms of media, right? Uh, so it does really good in that. And here's the thing, right? This is no take on anything on anybody, company, or organization. Um, this is just my personal belief on how CRMs can function, and there's no right or wrong reason, right? Because here's the thing: if you're coaching to CRMs in mass, if you're talking about you have tens of thousands of employees, the truth is you don't always have the best leadership to truly develop these people the best that you can. So you manage through the numbers, because that way you can keep track of who's good, who's bad. And I'm sorry to say, your company has a lot of attrition. If that's your organization, you have a lot of attrition on not just the clientele side, but also on the employee side, right? Because people aren't being trained properly in what you're talking about, Joey, which is developing those relationships to be able to close and continue the growth. Because at the end of the day, like, you want to be able to maintain a client for a very long time and have them keep coming back. But the other flip side to that is having the right clients, because not every dollar is going to be a good dollar.
Right.
Right? And in my experience, my low value customers have typically been the biggest pains I've worked with. And it's not to say that personally they're bad people or bad pains or that that kind of stuff. It's just that monetarily, what they feel they should be getting for what they're putting in is not the same, because they don't understand a lot of the intricacies, a lot of the work that's going to be done. Where your high dollar clients understand that, hey, I'm spending a lot more money for a different type of experience. I also know what I'm going to be getting, or what I should be expecting on the back end, right?
Right.
Because these projects are going to take longer to finish than, say, like $100 project that's got a less than 24-hour turnaround time, compared to, for instance, what we just talked about, a $50,000 client, right?
Right.
Their expectation isn't going to be that it's going to typically be a 24-hour turnaround time. They understand it's going to be a little bit of time to get what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's important. I mean, just like you're saying, depending on it may not be the right customer, right? But also sometimes in those CRMs where they can get very granular, there's a possibility that sometimes it could be too granular, right? That task or the task that you're asking of your people may be a little too detail oriented and may not be beneficial to your employee or the customer, right? Sometimes it muddles that conversation that you're having between, hey, look, what are you focused on, right? Are we focused on the customer, or are we more focused on, managing the CRM? I think, like I said, it's just something to think about, right? You just have to make sure that when you're coaching to CRMs, you have to make sure, are you coaching towards a task, or are you coaching towards an actual actionable item, right? That can make an impact on that relationship.
Exactly. Is this going to deliver something in return, or are you just trying to keep me busy to stay busy?
Right. Are you checking off checklists, right? And that's what I think a CRM should not be, right? It's to actually nurture the relationship. It's very important.
And that you hit the head on the nail right there, right? Or the nail on the head, I should say. And it's very true. It's a CRM is a tool. And just like a tool, you need to use it to further something along. It's not there to make things look like they're being done.
Right.
And that's, like, me personally, that's one of the biggest things that's always been across different organizations, a pet peeve of mine. Because yes, I can do a bunch of tasks and make it look like I'm super, super busy in the CRM, but it's not doing anything for me in the return, right? In the long run, I'm not getting anything out of it because I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm not creating, anything of value for my clients, for my prospects, for the organization, or for myself.
Yeah.
So you need to understand, as a leader, the differences of what you want to focus on and what the deliverables should be from that. Because every action you take should have something that it's aimed towards completing. And to your point, Joy, it should not be to check off a checklist to make you look better. Because at the end of the day, trust me, from a high level, you can easily be able to tell who's fluffing things and who's actually getting things done.
All right. Well, like what I've seen is also, I mean, I just came to mind. Usually when you use a CRM to manage your clientele, right, you also use a CRM to manage your salespeople, right? And sometimes those tasks that you use to manage your salespeople are just that. It's just a checklist, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes that meaningful conversation, whether you're going over a pipeline or whether you're going over post sales or follow up, whatever it is, right? Whenever you're going over those things, if it's not a meaningful conversation, may as well not have the conversation at all, right? We've talked about meaningful communication, right? And how to be effective, right? So it's just one of those things. Use it as a tool, but make sure you're using the right tool to make sure you have an effective communication.
Exactly. We got to be impactful in the conversations we have to make and drive change, guys. We can't just be busy to be busy, right? At that point, you're not being a leader. You're just trying to manage a process. And the thing with your people is that your people are not a process. They're individuals. They have different personalities, different traits. They approach problems completely different than one another. You can literally sit in a classroom for 8 hours and have 10 people in that classroom. All 10 people are going to take something different from that training.
Right.
Right. So yes, I'm not saying don't use CRMs. And I think, Joey, you're saying too, don't use them. Not to use them and be impactful towards how you're using them. Understand what they are going to be good at and understand what aspects you can take away from it to ensure that you're moving in the right direction. But don't just have somebody do a bunch of things in there to just do a bunch of things. Because at the end of the day, you might say, yes, this is going to go really great. But is that task that you're asking and ask that you're actually going to deliver something on? Or you just ask them to fill that in the hopes that maybe one day, someday down the road, you'll do something with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be something beyond the little horizon there, right? Of just taking care of something, right? It's got to be something where it's going to lead to something, some kind of growth down the road, whether it be your book of business, whether it be that individual, whether it be you as a coach, right? Yeah. It's got to be something that is impacting growth, that is stimulating growth. But that's really all I had, man, on the CRM stuff, man. Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's something I'm looking at implementing for myself formally. I already have a process, but it's something I want to roll out some of the guys that I worked with, right? So I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest.
Cool. Well, guys, we want to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Obvious Leadership Podcast. Be sure to hit that like and follow button. Let us know what you guys thought about today's topic, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, guys. Later.
And that brings us to the end of today's Obvious Leadership episode. Remember, every great leader starts with one step, and you're already on your way. Small changes lead to significant impact. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, and remember that leadership is the key to unlocking extraordinary results.